Everybody, Jason Burmis here, and if you caught last night's very late stream, after I got off the road from New York to Iowa after doing a crazy 26 hours of driving in 40 hours, I realized how big of a purge had happened on YouTube. Here I was thinking, just before I left that, one of my thumbnails got flagged, no big deal. And a lot of people are saying, well, they're only going after QAnon supporters. That's not true. For instance, after this interview with Jardula, who right now can't live stream because he got hit on a video he did 4 months ago, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media, someone who, I may not agree with all the time, but certainly isn't a QAnon guy, got his channel completely deleted with over 100,000 subscribers. So this is an issue that we really have to talk about because I don't think it's going to get better. Obviously, it's only going to get worse. And joining us is Jardula from the Convo Couch. How are you today, sir?
Well, thank you first off for having me on. I wish I could say I was better. We're gearing up for election night, less than a month away. Have a big show planned. All the bells and whistles. After what we deemed yesterday to be Don't Pick on Joe Biden Day, when you couldn't post stuff about his Hunter Biden as they were censoring left and right, we woke up yesterday morning to see that we have been given a strike for a story we did 4 months ago on the Wayfair scandal. And it's just kind of surprising. And I mean, it's not surprising at all. That's the whole thing. But it's a little sad that today is for us again. Once again, this is the second strike now they're threatening us with. The first one, Jason, was when we did a Super Tuesday and we covered the election. The Super Tuesday when it was California and all these other elections. Literally, me and Nico were in the studio while Fiorella was out and about, and all we were doing was reporting on the election. And they gave a strike months later on that one, saying that we couldn't give false information about the elections or talk about the elections in any way. And as you know, that's our specialty over here. We know the elections, the whole systemic issues inside and out. And all we do is report on them and talk about them factually when we get documents or contracts or whatnot, or report on the lines. And then now the Wayfair scandal, which I'm pretty sure your audience might know about. I don't know if you've done a story on the Wayfair.
Well, actually, I did do one because I wanted to let it marinate a little bit, and I waited about, I think 48 hours after the initial hit to make sure, there was something behind it, but not. And I really debunked it. By the way, I think that you got the wrong mic hooked in because you are hollow. Check your settings. You might not have that one. That one, just in the little wheel in the top right corner of your Hangout right here.
Okay, let me get in there real quick. Hold on.
I mean, that might be it. It's just echoey. I'm not sure.
It could. Let me make sure. Top right-hand corner.
Yeah, top right-hand corner wheel. And you'll see, XSplit broadcaster, and then your line-in microphone, whichever one it is. It might be the right mic. I'm not sure. But, so far, I didn't get hit on that. But at the same time, I kind of debunked a lot of it. But the whole thing is, who gets to be the arbiter of truth? It's not like, for instance, you had any strikes. And again, with this election, they are 100% telling you that they're going to start banning. In fact, I played the video yesterday of Susan Wojcicki on CNN, specifically talking about election interference, how, basically CNN was demanding that if anybody called the election other than the mainstream media, other than reliable sources, their videos be pulled down. And then she was bullying Susan, not that you need to ban QAnon accounts. She's like, well, that's just not true. I just saw 2 QAnon videos, one with 3 million views and 6 million views. And you know where this is going. Why is it that CNN is never getting a fact check? Or MSNBC is never getting a fact check? Or Hearst Publications is never getting a fact check? They're wrong all the time, Pasta.
Yeah. How do I sound now? Is this better?
Fucking gravy, my friend.
Thank you so much, Jason. Well, I mean, because this is the fascism on the left that people always talk. I go out to the streets a lot. We're kind of a leftist channel of sorts. I call myself a leftist libertarian. Fiorella, I mean, man, some people say she's left of Stalin, for crying out loud. But, this is no, kind of right-wing channel. But we've talked about this before. We've complained about, hey, man, you got to say something here because they're shutting down Alex Jones. Oh, well, they're horrible. All these fascists, you got to stop them. hey, yo, this is fascism over here. When you're starting to suppress people's voices right now, it's clear what they're trying to do. And it's disgusting. 2 days ago, the chickens is coming home to roost because they crossed a shit line that you can never go back on right now. That whole Hunter Biden situation. And the sad thing is, too, as well, is I'm not an expert on it, but nobody even understands what QAnon really is, what Q drops are and shit like that. They think it's this monolithic kind of like center of culture of people putting out information. No, it's a message board. It's a drop board where all different people put in drops of different things of what's going on. They don't even understand that. But nonetheless, who is Silicon Valley to say what freedom of speech should be? I mean, we really got to get this thing straightened out. And from a guy who's on the left who's been screaming about censorship for a long, long time, we just got hit hard yesterday, and it's I'm feeling the effects of it. I'm like you talking about when it comes to with Susan Wojcicki, once again, the CEO of YouTube, also a big-time Clinton donor. You know what I'm saying? And this is something we talked about when it came to the Squad, when it came to AOC. They were pushing censorship. Isn't it crazy nowadays? Well, it might not be crazy to you. You might have seen it coming. But that the left is way behind than the right when it comes to censorship and civil liberties. It's nuts.
Well, here's the thing. It's kind of a mask, right? Because when you had the Bush administration, and it was probably at its peak, right? Because now you had 15 24-hour news networks all the time. You know, and even in the late 90s, 2000 election, pre-2001, you know, Fox News was new in the game. MSNBC was still Microsoft NBC. You know, everything, you know, was just kind of in its birth outside of CNN that had been around since the Gulf War and before. You know, that was the big introduction to America. Now, you know, you have all these different networks. They're live all the time. And it's so important that you and I can compete live. You know, and they want to take that away from us. And it's masked because when it did get big through the war on terror, you know, this this color-coded war from both sides, everybody was like, well, the Bush administration lie about anything. Dick Cheney will lie about anything. Paul Wolfowitz lie about anything. And the left were kind of the allies of the truth and against the censorship more than the right, because they were like, we got to get them terrorists, and if you don't like it, you can just get out, boy. You can just get out. That was the mentality. You saw those bumper stickers all the way around. And then the flip started happening, right? 2008 to 2016 with Obama. Now you had this well-spoken progressive that they'd taken from a state senator and a keynote speaker in 2004 to really a demagogue in 2008. And they were able to flip the narrative that, no, WikiLeaks is bad, and these are bad. And, you know, we actually do have to be in the Middle East and Syria and Africa and all these places because the terrorism war is real. And he did it with such a tone and a softness and away from the media, because the media was completely complicit, that they tricked the left into thinking that censorship was the answer. And it's never the answer. And before we go any further, guys, I want you to go and follow Yo Pasta on Twitter and go subscribe right now to their channel, because we have to push back against YouTube. You don't get pushed by these people, fall over on the sidewalk, crack your head, and just say, I'm done. No, you better get up, throw some blood in their face, push back, and say, no, free speech is important. And that's why I wanted to have a little fun with this one. So I got the old email on a video that I did. I don't know, it's got to be like 6 months ago, maybe more. And it is on basically Kevin Trudeau, the current Prime Minister of Canada, in blackface. Now, not only is he in blackface, but he decided while he was in blackface that he would stuff his pants to the size of a 16-inch submarine sandwich for a stereotypical black man's penis in his mind. So I put that on a thumbnail along with Robert Downey Jr. in blackface and Dan Aykroyd also in blackface, and they've told me this goes against their guidelines. Well, the thing is that you can rent Trading Places and you can rent Tropic Thunder. And by the way, here's the cover of Robert Downey Jr. right here being advertised by them on YouTube. Yeah. Pretty hypocritical. So, you know, I just wanted to put this out live. This is how I'm going to, you know what, we're going to do it live right here. Read it out to the crowd. I fail to see what could possibly go against community standards here. Robert Downey Jr. is from Tropic Thunder. You can buy or rent that film on YouTube. Dan Aykroyd in Trading Places. You can buy and rent that on YouTube. Then you have Justin Trudeau, the current Canadian Prime Minister, playing dress up in an old video, which he did. The circled area of his pants highlights how he stuffed them with clothes. This thumbnail is clearly meant to show that Trudeau made a terrible mistake, as it coincides with the title, Trudeau went full Robert Downey Jr. You never go full Robert Downey Jr. Submit.
Yeah.
Submit. There it is, guys. And if they pull that down, that's how absurd it is. Do you think that this is going to go further before the election? Because now, again, we're two plus weeks out, not even 3 weeks out, and you're taken away for the next 6 days now, too?
Yep.
So, again, they're trying to limit these voices. Do you have a channel in 2 weeks? Or post-election? Do I have a channel?
You know what? It's getting to the scary part right now when you talk about that situation because, what they did, the first strike, like I said, was on a Super Tuesday for just simply covering the election. And I think it's going to get even worse. They're going to go full throttle. They're going to try to shut up any voice when it comes to going after Joe Biden, and it's so funny because like a lot of this stuff is like old news. For people like us, Burisma, we've probably done so many stories till it's knocked us in the head. But yet the New York Post comes out with it. People start retweeting it and putting it back up, and they start shutting down the channels. The reason they gave us was harassment and cyberbullying on the Wayfair story. You know what I'm saying? We went over it. We looked at it. We're like, where the hell do they come up with, harassment and cyberbullying? But there's also just a press to keep the truth down. And I don't know about you, Jason, but when they make moves like this, it really makes me curious and wonder. I don't know if you watched the town hall with Donald Trump yesterday.
I was on the road.
Okay.
I literally.
Well, there's a part in the beginning, and it's so stupid because I'm sitting there thinking, like, if I was hosting this, how would I channel Donald Trump? I would challenge him about his policy, his continued Obama policy in Venezuela, about his tax bill, how he gave the rich a big break, or maybe some of the bombing and that he refused to stop.
Assange, baby, Assange.
Well, yeah, I would do Assange too. Of course, you see, I go to Trump rallies and I ask people, what about Assange? WikiLeaks gave you guys the election. Why don't you mention Assange? Of course, I would mention all those things. But what do they do? What do they attack him on? COVID. Why aren't you wearing a mask? And then they went after him about QAnon. And it was so bizarre. It's like, holy shit, they're going after him about QAnon. And he's going back and forth with the moderator. And she's like, well, it's a conspiracy theory. And shouldn't you just say it's no longer any good? I mean, they're saying that Democrats are Satan worshipers. And, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, I don't know anything about it. All I do know is that it's against child pedophilia. I don't know anything about it. All I know is that they're against child pedophilia. And then at the same time, we're sitting there and we're like, man, we just got a strike for a Wayfair story 4 months ago. I mean, are you not allowed to talk about pedophilia? And the fact that they're trying so hard to censor us on the left, about pedophilia, what's really going on there? Not to quote Donald Trump, but what's really, really going on there? And I think I think people still have to get educated on what really QAnon is, because it's just what it is. It's a form, it's a drop board of sorts where messages come in, and you'll have situations, and the whole mentality behind the board, correct me if I'm wrong, is to talk about child pedophilia. Now, I don't know how far it goes out there, Jay. I don't know if adrenochrome is really something that's going on. I question the Satan worshiping, but you saw Epstein's his whole lodge and all the symbolism there and stuff. But I do know that Epstein was real, and I knew that pedophilia was going on. And I don't put it past the elites or whoever's running this whole thing to have a habit or a whatever you want to call it, like pedophilia, and to say it's going on. How far does it go? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me say this.
The fact that we can't report and talk about this is disgusting right now.
I totally agree with you. And the thing is, with all those things, I would say what QAnon did, and, again, I've been one of the biggest critics out there in alternative media about QAnon. I mean, I've done hours-long videos, AMAs. No one has ever put any substantive, value in the idea that it was ever really real. Okay, and when I say really real, it was what it was proposed to be. Them taking down a deep state cabal of satanic pedophiles, etc. But let's just go over a few of those things. And here's the thing: do I get to analyze them and talk about them and say where their true origins are from, because none of these things, they don't have a piece of original information even in these drops, which are basically drops and then people on message boards doing research, but all the research has been done. For instance, the notion that it's democratic pedophilia. Well, that's going to stem away from Anthony Weiner, his laptop that we know exists, the FBI whistleblower again that just came forward one more time and said, you know, no one's done anything about this. I recently did a video on that. Now, Weiner was convicted a couple different times of very questionable things, including sexting and Skyping with a 15-year-old girl. That's not even close to as far as it actually goes, but they want to go with the left because he's connected to Hillary Clinton. And, you know, that's what the promotion is. They don't want to talk about where this real information comes from, and it stems from the Franklin scandal. It stems from people like Dennis Hassert, who has been labeled a serial child molester by a judge and was the longest serving what? Republican Speaker of the House at the time. It stems from people like Ed Murray in Seattle, who, again, all these accusations, these aren't new. You know, Foley's another one, and he's a Republican. You look at what happened even with George W. Bush, and the fact they had James Guckert in there, a.k.a. James Gannon, for Talon News, a front row seat, and he was really the head madam, a.k.a. prostitute, for militarystuds.com. You know, and then you follow that trail, and it's deep. So, you know, they are rooted, and adrenochrome, for instance, when you talk about these rituals, we all know about Bohemian Grove, etc., and they'll take them steps further, and the adrenochrome thing is actually a Crowley-esque writing, okay? So Crowley, with his sex magic, incanted some being, and they say the most powerful form of sex magic is taking a virgin boy from behind, and at the cusp of orgasm, slitting his throat, taking his blood, and then drinking it. And that is an actual sex magic ritual that Crowley put on paper while some kind of a being. So all of these things, whether they're real or not, have some kind of historical value, but it's been twisted. And here's the thing, they don't like it's effective. Whether it's real or not, and I think a ton of it, I don't think Tom Hanks is a pedophile. Okay, I think they get a ton of different things wrong, and I've done numerous videos about it, but it masks the stuff I just talked about. The real stuff. You want to talk about Craig Spence and the callboy rings in D.C.? You want to talk about Barney Frank running an underage prostitution ring with Stephen, I believe his name was Goby, in D.C., connected to the Chevy Chase Middle School? I'll show you the headlines. I'll show you the headlines. But none of that is something they discuss. But they don't like a nationalist like Trump. They don't like getting losses. They'd much rather have Zombie Joe in there and Kamala Vampiris and, you know, let's bring in Andrew Capo Cuomo. And this is the takeover pasta. You know, these people aren't, you know, they're leftists in the sense they want it for the people. They're leftists in the sense like, let's fucking hammer and fist this shit down.
Yeah. I think a lot of the Democrat kind of scare is, or why people are so afraid of it, is the Clinton connection to Epstein. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They feel like that can bring everything down and everything can crumble around it. You know, like I said, I don't know what to believe. And a lot of the stuff that you just talked about right there, it's like, wow, that's like next level stuff. You know, and I've talked about, you know, some of the Whitney Webb stuff when she talks about the history of where this comes from. And, you know, I've done some reporting on the owner of the San Francisco 49ers, the old owner, Eddie DiBartolo, and his father, and how he's connected, you know, how they can just make, you know, politicians disappear and whatnot, you know, when anytime they get things in trouble. And that's something that's really, really not, you know, it's not hard to believe that there are these level of elites that can do what they want, where money is not an issue to them. Money doesn't mean anything to them. And what can really get them off or tickle their fancy, you know? So, you know, I don't necessarily not believe that it's not going on, but I don't know to what extent it does go on. But it does seem to me, when you talk about that QAnon stuff, that a lot of that shit is in there to make it so absurd that they don't look about the real stuff that's going on, the things that you have the actual connections to talk about, well, and where it takes place today.
Look at the Claire Bronfman situation. You know, she just gets 81 months at a country club when we know they were trafficking in teenage girls from Mexico, then from around the world for their Rainbow Cultural Garden, which was a nursery school, not only in this country, but abroad. I mean, and then they're connected to Raniere and Mac, who in that original indictment, they had child trafficking in there, and which was later proven to be true in a court of law on some extent. You have people like Gina Hutchinson, he was sleeping with when she was 15, who ended up dead, suicide or not. You know, you have Pam Kafritz, who's overseas. She died. I mean, so many weird connections. And then you realize, oh, my God, her sister's gone, and they're not only the Seagram's heiress billionaires, but their father, Edgar, he was the head of the World Jewish Congress. He got the American Medal of Freedom from Clinton, gets it put over. So, you know, I see those connections, but that's wild enough, you know. And again, she gets to go to a country club. How in the world do they think they're going to take down someone like the Clintons that have so much support from so many more of these billionaires? To me, you know, they put these facades out there, you know, these little minions of the predator class, and they build them up. But at a certain point, they can't let them get torn down because it connects to them, and they don't want to be unmasked. So how do we pull back the veil, especially on things like YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, which right now are clearly an outward collusion to try to rig this election?
Yeah, I mean, that's the main thing. That's what they're trying to do. I mean, that's why we got ding on the election stuff first before the Wayfair stuff. The Wayfair seemed like an excuse just to ding us even more. And I think they knew that, you know, hey, it's election time. Here comes the Convo Couch. You know, they're going to talk about everything when it comes to the elections and stuff. You know, we talk about the truth because we know everything when it comes to these things. Not everything, but we know a lot, you know, and stuff. We read the contracts. We understand the systemic problem when it comes into the mail-in ballots. We haven't stopped talking about it, how it's a joke. And even when we throw stuff back in their face, like William Barr did when he had Wolf Blitzer on, when Wolf Blitzer was bad, he was just great the other day with Nancy Pelosi. But when he says it's really kind of like it's not a really good thing that the fact that you're just avoiding the fact that there's a systemic issue with these mail-in ballots. Even Jimmy Carter said that this is the area where it's ripe for fraud. And if you understand how the system works, you understand how they can fix it, how they can rig this, how they can overflood this. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the Republicans do their cheating as well. It's like a cartel. Everybody in their own territory cheats. And the main goal is that to win with cheating in your own sections where you have the Secretary of State or the Secretary of Elections under your hand, when you have the friendly contracts of the tabulation machines that you can fix in your way, or the mail-in ballots, or if you can suppress the votes in certain areas where you know it's going to be a lot of Democratic turnout or stuff, or maybe a lot of Republican turnout. I mean, there's ways to trick and mess this thing up. And the main goal is to do what you can do without allowing a third party to come in and get over 5%. So, I mean, it's like this organized cartel of cheating, whatnot. You know, Donald Trump is not off the hook himself when it comes to elections. You know, he's okay with the absentee ballots in Florida and those, you know, the ballots coming in Florida. Why? Because he has the friendly contracts there, and he knows he has that state kind of locked up. So you got to be consistent across the board if you're going to say, hey, I'm not going to accept absentee ballots or mail-in ballots over here. I can't accept them over here. So they've talked about it. But we need a serious systemic change when it comes to this. And anybody who's talking about this stuff is going to get flagged, demonetized, strikes, taken down. Like, I can tell you this much. I am waiting for Election Day and the next day, 3rd and 4th, when we have this. We have a massive, this is going to be our best show yet. You know, we have producers coming in from the outside helping us out, our old people. Great setup, all the bells and whistles, going to cover everything across the coast to coast. But we're going to talk about the elections and how they work, the systemic issues. I'm waiting for them to shut us down and shut us up. You know what I'm saying? And make no mistake of it. You know, when it comes to this mail-in ballots, this is where a lot of the Democrats have their friendly contracts and where they know how to cheat. They cheated when it came to John F. Kennedy versus Nixon, where you saw thousands of dead people vote in 2 areas. In Texas was where LBJ helped them out, and in Illinois, where Daddy Kennedy, Jack Kennedy, had a lot of help. And they're planning on trying to do the same thing again in the HEROES Act. The reason why the HEROES Act was not passed, Jay, is not because of the money, the $2 trillion, the $1.6 trillion. It was when it was first presented to the Senate, and before Donald Trump even had a chance to look at it, they wanted to amend the HAVA Act. And they wanted to take away an amendment that said that the states no longer had the right in 32 states to verify the signatures on mail-in ballots. In other words, they can just take away the signature process in which they verify these ballots and just stuff the ballot box. Mitch McConnell said, no way, I'm not even going to look at it. Don't even get it out of my face. and Donald Trump knew about it. That's what it's really about. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's trying to use their powers to fix this election. So.
No, I absolutely agree. It's just like the mainstream for the last 2 days was trying to parrot. There was no legitimacy to these Hunter Biden emails. They're unfounded. We don't know they're real. And that's all bullshit. We know it. And then less than, 36 hours later, they're naming the guy who works in the computer store that actually found him. They're basically doxing him, right? They're saying what he does for a living. Like he's a half blind man, apparently. And it's like, look at the hypocrisy on this. Like, you couldn't even say Erica Caramello Barr's name to this day. I can't say the whistleblower from the false impeachment of Donald Trump's name. Even though they said it on congressional floors and Senate floors and in hearings, I'm still not allowed to say it. The censorship is getting even greater. And again, I've got Sigurdsson coming up. I feel bad for him. He lost his whole channel. If they pull my channel, I'm going somewhere. I'm literally going to headquarters. I'm doing a GoFundMe. I'm going to headquarters.
We'll go with you. We'll go with you. Fiorella's already talked about let's go. Listen, we got Rockfin. We can rock Rockfin. And it's so funny. The whistleblower we talk about, right? They protect this person as a whistleblower. But yeah, Julian Assange is sitting in a freaking in a prison and in England is about to be sent here to a secret court and then be whisked off. And he's one of the greatest whistleblowers of all time. And everybody on the left is silent about it, except Tulsi Gabbard, who puts out some great bills and stuff. But where's Bernie? Where's the squad? You know what I'm saying? Give me a break with this crap right now. It's getting to be some really, really scary times when they're censoring everybody left and right. But, hey, man, if you want to go to the headquarters, we'll go with you because this is real fascism over here.
No, we got to do it. If that happens, we all have to do it. That's a great idea. Yeah. I'm so glad you jumped on board. Creators, that's it. And people say, well, you go to the offices. There's nobody there that can make a decision. Well, I'll tell you what. We need to get ours out there and say this is enough because these aren't monopolies in the traditional sense. They are part of the military-industrial complex. They are part of the data harvesting. They are part of the track trace database society. YouTube is Google. Is Alphabet, is NASA, okay? Is the AI program there? It's not just going to space. People have to understand they're working on quantum computers and artificial intelligence. Jeff Bezos not just fucking Amazon and the Washington fucking Post. He's also the CIA and the NSA, literally storing that stuff. So Rockfin is a great alternative. And guys, again, go make the free account now starting Monday through Friday. This Monday, we're doing it. From 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. every single day, we're going live for 2 hours, Pasta. We're going to have to get you on that show exclusively on Rockfin. We're doing the Jimmy Dore model, then we're going to cut it up and premiere some of the stuff on YouTube. It's going to be free. So anybody with a free account can watch that, and then we'll make it premium after the fact for all the premium members if you want to go back and watch it all. Tell people how they can support you on Rockfin and other platforms.
Well, just go to our Rockfin, the Convo Couch. We also have a Patreon where you can hook us up over there as well. But, the Rockfin right now is the most important thing. We went on Rockfin about a year ago. I remember I called Graham Elwood because the first time they gave us a strike, which we were able to protest, and they took it down. And that's when we were showing the debates where we had signs and we were actually giving commentary for the hearing compared with thumbs up, thumbs down signs like this, which was an argument in itself, entering that arena of what is for the public interest, what is the Fair Use Act. You know what I'm saying? If it's something political, we should be able to commentate over it, talk about it. But once again, YouTube has their ways of censoring and shutting us down. That's why we went to Rockfin. But isn't it crazy, though? And I know you got to get me out of here, you got another show, but isn't it crazy, Jay, that the argument now on the left, from the activists that I know, that when we started in this whole thing, they say, and I asked Kamala Harris about this at the Democratic convention when I questioned her about taking down Donald Trump's Twitter, citing the fact that, a lot of people who were First Amendment believers are really nervous about this, about, suppressing speech. And she doubled down on her rhetoric that Donald Trump can't threaten a witness when all he did was call her a dingbat. I mean, listen what's going on. But they cite the fact that, oh, well, this is a private company and private companies are allowed to do this. No, they're breaking antitrust laws. There's an amendment that says you have to make a choice. You're either a platform or a publisher. If you are a platform, then you have to have free usage across the board. You can't pick winners and losers. But no matter what, they've been doing it, and they've been doing it behind closed doors too as well, with their shadow banning and not letting you know. They can take you down, give you a strike, not even tell you why, and that's it. Because there's another thing, Jay. For the week, we can't make money now. We make the majority of our money on Super Chats because everything's not suitable for monetization, whatnot, or for children, whatever. So we make the majority of our money through Super Chats. So they're even trying to ding us right there because they're trying to shut us down. Not just leftist, anti-establishment media, but you, anybody else on the right. It's like when we said, and I'm not a big fan of Alex Jones. I know my partner isn't either, but we both scream from the top of our throats to all of our friends on the left, all the activists out there. You got to get a hold of this. You got to grasp what's going on with our civil liberties. You're not even putting it on the radar. You think it's just that they're doing something good, that they're taking somebody down. It's like the cancer culture. You have to allow people to say what they want to say. You, the public, make a decision what's right or wrong, not Silicon Valley. And if you don't get a hold of us now, they came for Alex Jones, they came for the Convo Couch, they came for Jason Bermas, and next they're coming for you.
There you go. Pasta Jardula. He's absolutely 100% right. We have to defend all speech. And yeah, they don't like the super chat thing because that's how I got dinged. They said, wow, man, even with suppressing him, he's now making, half or more of his money through that. It's been 6 months since I've been demonetized. 5+ months since I've reviewed it. I'm not getting a review. They're waiting to pull my channel for some Johnny nonsense that I didn't do. But I'm telling you right now, I'm fighting tooth and nail. I've had the channel since 2007. I've stood by my work. I've corrected my mistakes. And that's the best anybody can do. And guess what? I've been way more fucking accurate than anybody over at NBC, CBS, or Fox fucking News, and I would take them on in a heartbeat on any live platform, and I would destroy them like I destroyed the guy from fucking Esquire last month. Guys, go follow the Convo Couch. We're going to be back in about 15 minutes with Josh Sigurdson, who lost his whole channel. We have to get together sometime even in the next week, especially when I do this Rockfin thing. DM me. Let me know when you might be free between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern next week, and we'll definitely set it up, Pasta.
Definitely.
All right,
Thank you so much, Jason. Really, I think you do some splendid work, man. Every time I come on with you, I learn some stuff. It really is great. What you just talked about, I didn't have a lot of knowledge of. I think Fee's going to be pretty interested when I tell her about the Republicans that are connected to this whole, pedophilia scandal. That she doesn't. She's like, well, what do you know about the Republicans and the pedophilia scandal? I'm like, well, I know Larry Summers was like on the plane and whatnot, but I don't know a lot right now. And what you just did, it was like, holy shit.
That's base level stuff, man. We're talking about when we get back into Craig Spence and that whole Franklin scandal, that's first Bush administration stuff. People got to get it in their heads. This is not a right or left issue, and that's why it goes even further. Look up Lord Mountbatten and the royal family and the fact that the FBI had digs on him that he was called Lord Mountbottom. In things, and basically, with these preteen and teenage boys all the time. They love it because then they compromise you. Pasta, we will see you soon, brother.
Love you, brother. Send me some links so we can watch some of your stuff and get educated on this, Jay. Anything we can do for you when you're showing up for the YouTube office, I'm coming with you, baby.
I love it. Later on, Pasta. So, guys, again, you have to absolutely support speech all the way. All the way. Whether you like what somebody has to say or you don't like it. Me and Pasta can spar about politics, and that's fine. That's a good thing, okay? There should not be just one viewpoint. Guys, make sure you go check him out over on Rockfin as well. Hit the GoFundMe, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. It's how we're doing it. Big donors need you now more than ever. Again, Sigurdson is coming up. All the documentary films are free. Loose Change, Final Cut, Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, A New World Order to Find, and Shade the Motion Picture. Okay? Shade the Motion Picture. Thumbs it up, subscribe, and share while we still have a channel, and let's fight back. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the flip side.